Was just a young man when his world changed forever. Taken from his home in Judah, he was forced to leave behind everything he knew and loved, his family, his friends, and the land where he grew up. He was brought to the bustling, unfamiliar city of Babylon, a place filled with strange sights, sounds, and customs. The city was alive with people from many lands, towering buildings, and the constant hum of activity. Daniel missed his family deeply, and he longed for the temple in Jerusalem, the place where he had worshipped God. But even in this new and overwhelming place, he never forgot his faith or the God who had always been with him. Surrounded by people who worshipped idols and followed different traditions, Daniel stood firm. He refused to let go of what he believed, even when it made him stand out. Every single day, 3 times a day, Daniel would open his window toward Jerusalem and pray to God. No matter what was happening around him, he made time to talk to God, seeking comfort and strength. Prayer became Daniel's lifeline. It gave him peace when he felt alone and courage when he was afraid. In a land that was not his own, prayer reminded him that God was always near. Daniel refused to bow to Babylon's gods or take part in their ceremonies, even when everyone else did. He knew that honoring God was more important than fitting in. Sometimes people looked at him with confusion or even suspicion, but Daniel chose to honor the Lord in everything he did. He was determined to stay true to his beliefs, no matter the cost. Daniel's faithfulness shone like a light in the darkness. He worked hard, learning the language and customs of Babylon, and he did his best in every task given to him. His dedication and wisdom soon caught the attention of those around him. Even though he was far from home, Daniel's heart was not filled with bitterness or anger. He believed that God had a special purpose for him, even in exile, and he trusted that his life had meaning. Daniel trusted God to guide his every step. Prayer was the foundation of his life, helping him make wise choices and giving him strength to face each new challenge. In a world that often felt lonely and uncertain, Daniel's friendship with God gave him hope and comfort. He knew he was never truly alone. Daniel never missed a prayer, no matter what. He understood that his strength and courage came from the Lord, and he relied on God every day. Daniel's quiet courage and unwavering integrity set him apart from everyone else. He lived each day with honesty and faith, earning the respect of many. Even when he was thrown into prison for his faith, Daniel did not lose hope. He believed that God was with him, giving him purpose and strength, even in the darkest moments. Daniel's unwavering devotion and trust in God would soon change everything, not just for him, but for everyone around him. King Darius noticed Daniel's honesty and wisdom. Daniel completed every task with care and never cheated or lied. Impressed, the king made Daniel one of 3 presidents over the entire kingdom. Daniel's leadership stood out. He was clever, fair, and trustworthy. The king trusted Daniel more than anyone, often seeking his advice. Darius even considered making Daniel second in command. Daniel's success didn't make him proud. He remained humble and grateful to God. He continued to pray daily, giving thanks for every blessing. Daniel treated everyone with respect, from governors to servants. His life was a shining example of integrity and faith. People saw that true greatness came from his deep love for God. Daniel's character made him both a great leader and a good man. The other leaders grew jealous of Daniel's favor with the king. They whispered and plotted, angry that a foreigner might rule over them. Watching Daniel closely, they searched for any mistake, but found none. Daniel was honest and just in all he did. Frustrated, the men realized they could only trap him through his faith. We'll use his devotion to his God against him, they schemed. They knew Daniel prayed every day, no matter what. So the jealous leaders devised a cruel plan. Their goal wasn't to help the kingdom, but to destroy Daniel and take his power. They met in secret, plotting to turn Daniel's greatest strength into his downfall. Their hearts were filled with envy, and they were determined to see Daniel gone. The trap was set. They would use his faithfulness as a weapon. Confident in their scheme, they prepared to bring Daniel down. But they underestimated the power of Daniel's God. The jealous leaders, burning with envy over Daniel's favor with the king, gathered together and approached King Darius with words dripping in flattery and false respect. "O king, live forever," they began, their voices smooth and persuasive. "We have devised a law for the good of your kingdom. For 30 days, no one may pray to any god or man except you, O king. Anyone who disobeys this royal command will be thrown into the den of hungry lions to face certain death." The king, flattered by their suggestion and blinded by pride, agreed without hesitation. He took up his royal quill and sealed the law with his signature, making it official. King Darius did not realize that Daniel, his most trusted advisor, had not been consulted. He had no idea that this law was a carefully laid trap designed to target Daniel alone. In Babylon, a law signed by the king was unbreakable. Once sealed, not even the king himself could change it. The decree was locked in place, and the fate of anyone who broke it was sealed as well. The leaders rejoiced in secret, exchanging sly smiles and gleeful glances. Their plan was working perfectly, and they could hardly contain their excitement. They knew Daniel's faith was unshakable. He would never stop praying to his God no matter what the law said. All they had to do was wait and watch. News of the new law spread like wildfire through the city. People whispered in fear as the decree was posted in every public square. Most were too afraid to question it, and silence fell over the land. But the leaders cared nothing for the people's fear or the king's honor. Their only concern was Daniel and how to bring him down. They watched Daniel's every move, lurking in the shadows and peering through windows, certain that he would soon break the law. The city buzzed with rumors and anxious whispers. But beneath the surface, the trap was set for just one man, Daniel. The leaders imagined Daniel's downfall, picturing themselves rising to power in his place. Their jealousy had twisted into a dangerous ambition. This law was never about loyalty to the king. It was born from jealousy, betrayal, and a hunger for power. Soon, Daniel would face the greatest test of his faith, standing alone against the threat of the lion's den, while the eyes of the city watched and waited. Daniel heard about the new law and knew it was a trap. He could have hidden his prayers, but his relationship with God mattered most. Daniel went home, opened his window toward Jerusalem, and prayed as always. He didn't hide or change his routine, showing his trust in God. Daniel's prayers were full of gratitude and courage, not fear. He asked God for strength and prayed for his people and the king. Obedience to God was more important than obeying a human law. The jealous men watched, waiting for Daniel to pray. As soon as they saw him, they rushed to report him to the king. Their trap had worked. They believed Daniel's fate was sealed. Daniel's faith was unshaken, even as danger closed in. He chose God over safety, trusting in divine protection. The men hurried off, eager to see Daniel punished, but Daniel's courage would soon reveal a greater power at work. His faith was about to be tested in the most dramatic way. The jealous men burst into the king's court, their faces twisted with envy and ambition. They had been watching Daniel for some time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Now, with the law freshly signed, they saw their opportunity to bring him down. "Didn't you sign a law forbidding prayer to anyone but you?" they demanded, their voices echoing through the marble halls. The tension in the room was thick, and the king could sense the hostility behind their words. The king confirmed it, but as he looked into their eyes, he sensed something was wrong. He remembered the pride he felt when he signed the law, but now, doubt crept into his heart. "Daniel is breaking your law. He prays to his God every day," they accused, their fingers pointing accusingly. The king's heart sank as he realized their true intentions. King Darius was devastated. He realized he'd been tricked by his own advisors. The weight of his decision pressed down on him, and regret filled his mind. He tried all day to save Daniel, searching for a loophole in the law, hoping for any way out. He pored over ancient scrolls, consulted his wisest counselors, and paced the palace floors in desperation. But the law could not be changed. The leaders pressed him to carry out the punishment, reminding him that the law of the Medes and Persians could not be revoked. Their insistence left the king feeling cornered and powerless. With a heavy heart, the king ordered Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. His voice trembled as he gave the command, knowing he was sending an innocent man to what seemed like certain death. As Daniel was brought before him, the king said, "May your God rescue you." His words were filled with both hope and sorrow, a desperate wish for a miracle. Darius, once proud and confident, now placed his hope in Daniel's God, the very God he had forbidden Daniel to worship. He realized that some powers were beyond his own. The king's sorrow was deep. He had lost a trusted friend and advisor. Alone in his chambers, he could not eat or sleep, tormented by guilt and worry. Daniel faced the lions, but the king's words echoed with hope. Even as the stone was rolled over the den, a glimmer of faith remained in both their hearts. The law was unbreakable, but faith was about to prove stronger. Daniel's courage and trust in his God stood as a silent challenge to the king's decree. The king's regret was matched only by his desperate prayer for a miracle. All night he waited, hoping for a sign that Daniel would survive. Daniel's fate was sealed, or so it seemed. The den was sealed with the king's own ring, a symbol of finality and royal authority. But the story was far from over. In the darkness, hope and faith still flickered, waiting for dawn to reveal what would happen next. Daniel was led to the lion's den, a place of darkness and danger. The stone was rolled over the entrance and sealed by the king and the jealous leaders. The men left, certain Daniel would not survive the night. But in the den, a miracle unfolded. An angel appeared, filling the pit with light and peace. The lions, once fierce, lay down calmly beside Daniel. God had shut their mouths, Daniel was unharmed. All night Daniel was safe, watched over by the angel. The den became a place of peace, not fear. While the king tossed and turned, Daniel rested in God's protection. The impossible had happened. Faith had turned danger into safety. Daniel's trust in God was rewarded with a night of miracles. The world above waited, unaware of the wonder below. King Darius spent a sleepless night filled with worry and regret. At dawn, he rushed to the lion's den, calling out anxiously, "Daniel, has your God saved you?" To everyone's shock, Daniel answered, "My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths. I am unharmed." The king was overjoyed. A miracle had happened. He ordered Daniel lifted from the den. Not a scratch was found on him. The jealous leaders watched in disbelief. The king and his officials stood in awe of Daniel's God. The impossible had become reality. Faith had triumphed over fear. Daniel's innocence was clear to all. The king's hope had not been in vain. The miracle spread quickly through the city. Daniel's God had proven his power before the whole kingdom. The king's heart was changed forever. Daniel's faith had saved him and inspired a nation. The story of the lion's den would never be forgotten.